Hey, it's Nikki from My Healthy Beginning, and today we're going to talk about how to get those greens in. I think from the mom perspective, it's always how can I get more greens into my kids? How can I get more greens into my partner? How can I get more greens into my diet? Ongoing conversation. So I've got some tips and little tricks for you today. First of all, where you can get your greens in a food source, i.e. adding it to your food wherever you can, is always the best idea. Um, I really have a conversation like get your freaking vegetables in, and I don't much care how you do that. Just get them in, because we still have people who are eating canned vegetables, or that's their only source of vegetables. And though it isn't the best source of vegetables, if they're getting vegetables versus not, then meet them where they're at and start lifting them and educating them and supporting them and giving them more resources from there. Because that's an important piece too, to be acknowledged for what it is you really are doing and how you are serving your own health. So the more you can eat that's fresh, obviously, the better. And getting them in, so many ways to get the greens in. Okay, so breakfast, wilted, sauteed, baked, juiced, throw them into a smoothie. However you can get them in during breakfast, great. If you're fasting, then bring your food with you. So you're eating something later in the morning, or maybe you're fasting until the lunch hour, and maybe it's a soup, maybe it's a salad. Like seaweed is really, really great. Super, super nutrient dense vegetable that you can get in that meets many, many needs. And soups are a great way to get lots of vegetables in and have it taste delicious. So soups and salads. If you have a harder time with those raw vegetables, then stick more with like a roasted, steamed, or like a soup, because it's just easier on your body to digest. Dinner, kind of the same conversation. If we want to get the bulk of our diet in from vegetables, I know it's hard for me to do. If I think of the 3 days that I'm at the office fully in practice, like I hardly have time to sit down and eat, like, let alone have more than a few bites at a time. So I totally get that conversation. Being really strategic is really helpful with that. One of the things I do around smoothies that's really helpful. So when I have the time to garden, if I don't, I just do a CSA. And regardless, you're going to end up with a fair amount of greens. And sometimes it's Swiss chard. Sometimes it's, some of it's kale. Sometimes it's spinach. Sometimes you're going to have greens that you don't like, and you're like, I'm never going to use this, but you don't really want them to go to waste. So one of the things that I will do is I will put my greens into my high-speed blender with just enough water so that, it is blending, right? And I'll make a puree, and then I'll take that greens puree and pour it into ice cube trays and freeze them. Once frozen, I will take those ice cubes out and I'll just put them into a freezer Ziploc bag, and into the freezer they go. So when we're making smoothies, we can just pop the cubes of frozen pureed greens. It's like my favorite idea ever. And it's so slick and works super, super well. Because the cold, like that's also, people like colds typically with their smoothies. It's a super, super easy way to get your greens in. And then even for kids, like it's fun, because what kid doesn't love ice cubes and doesn't love like cracking them out of an ice cube tray? And that becomes more fun for them. And the more fun food, and particularly greens, are for them, the more apt they are to be interested in tasting it, trying it, and putting it in their smoothies, etc. One thing that'll rock kids' worlds in terms of adding greens to smoothies is it's green. And so the smoothie changes color. And so they might have like a, say, tropical, flavored smoothie, like, with pineapple and mango, like that. And it's really sweet just on its own. But if you add even a cup of baby spinach, which you're not even going to taste in the smoothie, the whole thing turns this beautiful, beautiful green. And your kids are like, ew, I'm not going to eat that. So, like training them in a little bit at a time. It's going to be the same beautiful smoothie. It's just going to be green. It doesn't mean it tastes green. Doesn't mean it tastes awful. So that's just going to take time and playing and experimentation with your kiddos. Juicing is a really great way to get veggies in. I love to juice. And, my husband always says like, oh, you should really like track your recipes. And that one was really good. And part of me is like, I don't have time for that. And the other part of me is I don't really care because I will just pull whatever I have in the fridge and throw it into the juicer and drink it. And I don't really care what it tastes like. Most of the time it tastes pretty great. Ginger is like a mainstay. I always throw ginger in because it just gives a little kick and really great flavor to whatever I am putting in there. One thing I always have around is like a bunch of parsley or a bunch of cilantro, and throwing a bunch of that in. So delicious. So that makes it really simple. Juicing, let me just say something quick about juicers in terms of getting your greens in. So there are a variety of juicers that run the gamut in price. I mean, I think you can get them for like 40 or 50 bucks, all the way up to beyond hundreds, I'm sure. And they do different things and they mean different things. And oh my gosh, you need the fiber and you never want the fiber and all of that. Like, I don't even really buy any of those conversations. I really am just like, get your vegetables in whatever capacity you can. And then as you learn to know more about your body down the road, you can start to discern how and where you want to do things differently, and like where and when you want to up level or kind of upgrade juicers or otherwise. I had a Hamilton Beach and I was completely fine with it. And I ended up buying a Breville from my neighbor actually, which I also love, but it has like way more functions than I ever use. I literally keep it on the same, number, and I toss everything in and the juice is always great every time. So I just like don't have the space to get fancy. But it is delicious, and what I'm saying is like, don't go out and spend a ton of money. Just keep it really simple. Juicers, like, you have to clean and there's no way around it. So getting the greens in, if you're going, by way of juice, it's simple, but there is that process of cleaning a machine. You can sweeten up a greens juice, like by putting in a green apple, or if you need to go sweeter because you've got kids, if you put like one orange or even a grapefruit, can make a difference in getting those greens in and really having that make a difference. Now, if all of that aside and food is not going to happen for some like a busy day or to travel day or picky kids or picky spouse or whatever the case may be, I have a few favorites, like just that are really simple to use and good to know about. I have some of them with me. So we have a product called, I think this is the glare here. Where are we? Spagyric Greens by Energetix. I love this. In our house and in our practice, we call this swamp water. Here is why. Let me see if I can get some in here. Look at that. It looks like swamp water. So it's an easy one to get in with kids because, again, being really playful around that, we tell them like, are you putting your swamp water in your smoothies? Because again, a few shots of this is just giving them more power and just more phytonutrients to work with, more energy in their body, more oxygen in their body, but they can actually taste it when it's in their smoothies. So that's a like super, super easy way. And then they're like, ew, swamp water, I have more than you, and whatever in the household, it becomes a fun game. So I love that. And Spagyric Greens, what spagyric processing means is that it's, instead of like an isolated extraction from the plant, it's like the whole plant. The whole plant is used in the process. And so like all the key components are intact. So I really, really love this. And like it's liquid, so we absorb it really quickly. The Cause company, I don't actually have a container on me right now, but the Cause Show Me the Greens is a delicious kind of like apple sorbet that's also really easy to just add in water and shoot it back if you want to do it that way, or again, add to some sort of drink or add to like a collagen and, toss that back. You can get that at Whole Foods and maybe like your Fresh Times. So we've seen that around a lot, and our people love that here. Also the dynamic, the NutriDyne Fruits and Greens. So this one is also really popular with people. This is grape, literally like grape Kool-Aid. So it's what I remember grape Kool-Aid tasting like. This is one tub container. This is 30 servings, I think, if I remember right. Yeah, it's about 30 servings. This you can do, we actually called this greens juice. And so my kids didn't have juice for a really long time unless we were like out for a breakfast or something. So this was their juice. And so when I would send them to school or, in the morning, along with kind of all the other things I would throw in a morning cocktail, I would make a NutriDyne Fruits and Greens. And they loved the strawberry kiwi. That was actually their favorite. I think it's the sweetest, and I don't know if that's why they thought they loved it the best. It is stevia sweetened. These are the top three. Okay, the top three flavors that go in here: grape, the pink lemonade, and the dynamic fruits and greens. The kiwi strawberry. So these are really great, easy, portable packs for like school, road trips, travel, whatever the case may be. These are a simple way, sports, things like that, to send along and get those greens in. I do love this non-GMO, gluten-free, super, super simple product to use, add to smoothies, drink on its own. Spirulina is just the other last one I want to mention really quickly. And we have this little kind of, it's not a smoothie bar, but we just have this corner where our blender is, where I open the cabinet above it. It's everything we would need and want in terms of extra superfood goodies to throw into our smoothies. And spirulina is one of my favorites. Beautiful blue algae powder. High in B vitamins, actually high in protein. I gotta look at this again because I was surprised. 1 tablespoon of spirulina has almost as much protein as an egg. I had no idea. I think an egg has 6 grams and a tablespoon of spirulina has 4 grams of protein. So if you're looking for more plant-based proteins, this is a really, really smart way to go. The color is beautiful. The taste, I always feel like it's like a little bit minty. So it's got cleansing properties and immune boosting properties. It's delicious. And again, it's going to have the same effect as, spinach or greens on your smoothie. It's going to turn it like this bright, bright kind of blue green algae color. So that's one thing that we do. Like, we'll make smoothie bowls, like our at-home version of smoothie bowls, and spirulina will be one of the ingredients that we put in that, because really easy way to get those high-powered phytonutrients in. So gosh, we've talked about like 1, 2, 3, 4, maybe 7 or 8 different ways to get those greens in. I'd love to hear from you. What are your favorite ways to get those greens in, or how can we support you in getting more greens into your family? You can find us online at myhealthybeginning.com or give us a call here, 612-418-3801. Thanks for joining us.